Hello! Welcome to Talking Utter Slot, the slot car podcast. Be it Scalextrics or Carrera, Formula One, endurance or rally, we love buying, racing, and most of all, talking about slot cars. My name is Scott Brownlee. I used to have a real job, and now I do this. Joining me is my fellow gentleman of leisure,
Pedro. Although I'd rather be known as a cad than a gentleman of leisure. Or perhaps I am more of a cad.
I couldn't possibly comment. In this episode, we're talking about the cars we've bought, cars we'd like to buy, and Pedro will be telling us about the bespoke build of a white kit he's commissioned. We'll also be launching a campaign to ban box opening videos. The ban box openings, or Ban B.O, we'll tell you about that later.
Oh, I see what you did there with the Ban B.O thing. Very clever.
I don't just throw this together.
Really? Yeah.
Well, maybe a bit. We start with a correction. Again. Actually, it's a correction of a correction. Although, as that's two negatives, maybe it's not an apology, but something to take credit for. Pride, even. Over to Pedro.
Over to Pedro. Yeah.
So
last time out, there was a correction of something that I said in... Well, I think I said it trying to make out that I knew stuff about American muscle cars and American films, and I got it wrong. And we had literally no mail about it whatsoever, but I felt bad that I had said Vanishing Point was a Dodge Charger, when in fact it was a Dodge Challenger. So I apologise to the people who didn't write in. There you go.
There's a lot of negatives in that whole concept, isn't there? That will probably warped space-time.
There's a lot of negatives
Anyway,
in Vanishing Point, really. If you know, I won't give out the ending. I think I might have done that last time out, actually, but there's a big negative at the end.
You did. I think it's okay. I don't think people are queuing at the local cinema to go and see it and will feel
that's a shame.
Wasted their money.
It's a good film. I do enjoy it. I must make a mental note to watch it again, actually. I mean, it's of its time, which means a bit iffy in places, but it's not. It's a great... what was it, 70s movie?
When you say iffy, are we talking rampant sexism, racism, and a few other isms?
No, I think more, in terms of the editing and the construction of the film, it's a bit suspect compared to what we achieve today. But then they were achieving what they could in their day, so I think it's cool. It's not. What's it? Bullet, where before CGI. The baddies drive into a petrol station, only in the cut. You see the car, it goes into the petrol station, a ball of flame, boom, and then it trundles out the other side. They, for some reason, didn't cut, or they couldn't mask out the fact the car didn't go into the petrol station. It drove past it, and then they blew it up.
I bet you, though, that in the days of you go to the cinema to watch a movie and you see it once, almost nobody would have noticed that. It's only in the days of video recorders and pausing and rewinding that all these things probably become apparent. Anyway, before I start telling you about the various things that I've spotted in films, like did you know there's an R2-D2 glued to the mothership in Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
No, seriously?
And once you know it's there, you can't stop seeing it. Anyway, that's for another podcast. Let's move on to slot cars. Cars we've bought. What have you bought?
Well, I was inspired and somewhat jealous of your birthday present to yourself, so I thought I'd...
No. It was from my mother. I selected it, but it was technically
You
from
did
my mother.
everything except put her in a half Nelson and frog march her to the shop. Whatever. I was jealous.
You paint
Paints a picture of an interesting domestic...
paints quite an unfortunate picture.
I was jealous, and I've been toying with the idea of Sierra for a while. I've also been toying with the idea of an M3, the E30 M3, which I quite like. And so I saw yours, and I thought, it was my birthday. Was it my birthday before you? I think it was. It was my birthday before you.
It was.
I didn't get a car, so I'm going to buy one. And I think I bought the very last one that was on offer at Mr. Sean Pendle's Lancashire Emporium, because I noticed the other day that it was showing us sold out. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's a cracking model. And yesterday, at Club. I gave it a quick run. We weren't doing Scalextric's inlines, but I gave it a quick run, and it went well. I mean, I'd fettled it a bit. I'd sort of shaved the chassis, so there was a bit of body rock. I hadn't done anything to the bushings. I'd done a little bit of work on the guide.
Listen to you, sir.
What?
You shaved the chassis of your Sierra.
That's
just as well I'm not Sean Connery.
Or
Shaved the chassis of his
Miss
Sierra.
Moneypenny, I can do an impersonation. He kills one of your people, you kill one of his. He shaves his chassis, you shave your chassis. Anyhow, I did that. I put some slotted tyres on the back, and I'm really quite pleased with it. I really am quite pleased with it. It looks spiffy. It came with the PCS, is it? PCRS? PCS? The slotted chassis. And I do intend to give it a go with some slotted internals. But as it stands, I'm prepared. You'll need to remind me of this. I'm prepared to try and run it in our Scalextric inline class. It won't be competitive because it's a bit too top heavy, but I don't care. It's a pretty thing. I ran the Bastos up against AMG GT3s, and I'll run this because I like it. So that's what I bought.
Okay, excellent. That's good. I bought a car because I needed to get to race at an upcoming event. There are two classes at this event: club cars and own cars. And the own car class was sideways modern GT3, of which I do not have any. So it was an excuse for me to go shopping, or a necessity for me to go shopping. Although not really, because they did offer to lend me one. But anyway, so I picked a pretty blue Lamborghini. I never know how you pronounce the actual name of it. Is it?
I call them Huracans.
Lamborghini Huracan. There you go.
No, I said Huracan. Anyway, there you go.
Hurricane.
I don't know if I'm right.
Hurricane. Well, based on where we started the show, probably not. But it's blue, and my favourite colour is blue, and I like blue cars. See the aforementioned Labatt Sierra. So it arrived today, and I've literally had the chance to do 10 laps with it. It appears to work, but I haven't shaved
I was just about to say,
or whatever else it was.
Squat, have you shaved your chassis? You need to shave the chassis, Squat.
That is uncannily bizarre. Anyway, no, I haven't. Anyway, so it's there. So I shall be racing this car in all its glory on, well, if I say Saturday, it depends when everybody's listening, in a few days' time. So, well, that's good. But that's John, I'm very pleased with that. But that's it. That's been this week's acquisition, which leads us on to. Have you bought anything?
No. I was just going to ask you. Sorry, you did say you'd run it a bit on your Polycar.
I have.
What were your impressions?
It goes round.
Did you not? Were you not impressed by how smooth it was? I mean, it's as smooth as Sean Connery on a beach, mate.
Well, you see that it was actually a little bit grindy. Ooh. And I've been very little grindy, so I did put a little bit of sort of sticky lubricant stuff on the crown wheel, but it was literally just out the box and sort of slapped on. So it'll probably get. I hate to use the term run in. It's not going underwater or any of that sort of nonsense that you do. It's just I'm going to lap the track. Maybe 100 times.
Going to lap the bejesus out of it.
That's not a huge commitment. Well, no, because I mean a lap of my track is 7 seconds. So 100 laps at 7 seconds is not even 15 minutes or something. So anyway,
but
just to get to know it.
You're saying it's a bit grindy. I might cut this out, but Scott, it might be your mesh. It's probably your mesh. You need to work on the mesh.
Is that not the baddies? Is that was Schmersh?
So we're diving around, jumping around, which is what happens inside my head all the time. But you're saying your lap was how many seconds?
About 7. I mean, obviously it depends. Some cars are quicker, some cars are slower, and we know what you do if you want to go faster.
What do you do, Scott?
What do you do if you
turn up the voltage?
You turn up the voltage. Anyway, sorry, you were going to make a point.
I can't believe anyone listens to this. If anyone has got this far, you have my permission just to turn off.
Don't say that.
There's two blokes just
no,
farting about. Anyhow, I've asked the question, how long was your lap time? I didn't listen to the answer, sorry.
For the third time. 7
seconds. Did you see that it was that 1:32 Le Mans the weekend just gone over in
yes, up in Derby. Or Derby.
So I was talking, name drop, to that John Underwood, who gets yet another mention on this podcast, who was in fact...
Is he sponsoring you or something? Because he gets a mention every week.
No, he rips the pee out of me is what he does. He doesn't sponsor me. But he was on the winning team finally, and he was talking about they average 16 seconds a lap. Can you imagine that? 16 seconds, where a lot of the time... I think, you look at the track plan, I don't think there's any or many tight corners there. So that's 16 seconds of full chat. I think he said they believe the cars get up to 30 miles an hour at the end of the Mulsanne Straight, which is just amazing, I thought. Anyhow, a little bit of stuff.
Which in scale terms is sort of 900 miles an hour or something.
A little bit of stuff about speeds and times and lap times and stuff.
It's an interesting event, that one, and I had the opportunity to go and do it last year, and I said no, I'm not good enough, which was true. But I think I would like to try it because I love Le Mans, the real thing. And I like slot cars, and so they do for people who they take over a big sports hall, and they build a reasonably faithful replica of the Le Mans circuit, and it's as big as a sports hall. I haven't got the dimensions, but it's a big old track. So as you say, for them to lap that in
16 seconds,
not much more than twice. Yeah,
that was the average. The lap record that John claims is his, but apparently isn't, is something like 13.5 seconds. So when they're on it, 13.5, averaging out through the 24 hours, 16. And the car did, I believe they calculated, the car did 300 miles, genuine actual miles.
Genuine actual miles?
It's really impressive, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yes, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I know these are... Well, I was about to say these are toy cars. The things they were using are not toy cars, whether they would be, But, I'm sure it would be... You would be slower, but I'll bet you would be just as reliable if you used box standard Carrera or Scalextric cars.
Ooh, that would be interesting for them to do. I mean, I guess places are quite sought after, but that would be interesting for a bog standard car with no tweaks and no nothing to give it a go. I suspect it wouldn't last, but your faith is better than mine.
I think so. Anyway, that's worth it. Moving on. What would you like to buy? What have you seen that you want to buy?
That I want to buy? Well, I would like to buy, but I probably won't buy since I now have a Labatt's. Other lagers are available, particularly the Andy Rouse Caliber Sierra, which has been announced and may even be shipping, which is a truly pretty car. And if it's as nicely scaled as the Labatt's that I have and you have, then that will be the prettiest of them all, I suspect. I'm going to say it without any certainty, but that could be Car of the Year. It will be nominated for my Car of the Year, that Caliber.
Car of the Year. Car of the Year.
It's a pretty livery.
I would, it's all a matter of taste, but I think you're wrong. I think the Labatt's car is the prettiest Sierra so far. Yes. This is why I hung out till I got one. But not just that I know Tim Harvey.
Oh, there she blows. So who had 15 minutes? Who had 15 minutes before Scott drops a name? I didn't. But we're paying out on 15 minutes and something like 5 seconds, people.
I did it deliberately, so I knew you would hear me say that. No, I have a theory about these things. So you and I are both going, isn't that Sierra wonderful? It's great. It's really pretty. It's a great model. And then when something else comes along, say, for my instance, say the Rover SD1, which I think is a great model, but I go, well, maybe that window shape isn't quite right, or maybe that crease on the side isn't quite right. And I wonder if we talked to the product planners at Carrera and Scalextrics, they find that the people who moan about the cars not being quite right are the people who know them very well, so the big fans. Whereas the kind of general thing, so I kind of know what a Sierra looks like, and I kind of know what lots of things look like. And if it arrives, I go, "Oh, that's nice." I don't see the things on the dimensions and the ratios that have had to change to make it a slot car. Whereas when it's something I'm very passionate and familiar with, Rover SD1, 6R4s, these sort of things, then I kind of see the
Yeah,
flaws.
which I would,
Anyway,
which would
that's a little sidetrack.
pass me by completely. I would just see a pretty livery on a pretty car and just think that's cool. Which is what I believe the SD1 is pretty scale, but it's just a pretty livery on a car that I always fancied, and so I'm happy with that one.
Talking of pretty liveries, and I know you quite fancy this one, there was the Marlborough without Marlborough on it, Australian market only Tirano
Tirana,
release.
Tirana,
Tirano?
Tirana.
Yes,
No,
Tirano.
it's Tirana.
And Tirana, sorry, Tirana, wrong vowels in the wrong place. Anyway, I couldn't help look at that car and see that somebody had obviously once seen a Viva and they sort of put a bigger bonnet on it or something. It was kind of like the Viva's long lost elder brother
Bigger brother.
and
You. So I
bigger
sent you
brother.
the link to that because it did catch my eye, and I hummed and hard because 65 quid's quite a lot for a Scalextrics car. But I love the look of the wheels, and for some reason, I don't know quite why, but the whole car talked to me, and I thought that's a pretty car. I like the look of that. I do hope that there's a
The
ordinary European release that I can possibly pick one up on.
I doubt it because it's an
No,
Australian thing, isn't it?
I meant
As
like
I under
a European release of an Australian car. Keep up, as opposed to that one, which is an
that
Australian release of an Australian car. If you're with me.
okay. My understanding, which may be flawed, is that those things are commissioned by the Australian importer.
But don't we get another
So
livery later?
no, I just think we get some of them come back
No,
here, don't they?
right.
I don't think
Man
it's
looks up thing on internet as you speak. Keep talking. I didn't realise.
live googling.
Live googling.
to be to be fair, there are Channel 4 Saturday night shows which are less engaging.
I
But
didn't appreciate that's a Marlboro livery.
well, as Pedro's googling, I shall entertain you with some of my tales from the racetrack. No, I'm looking at them to see for that sign of of recognition. And now I'm beginning to wonder what is he googling because
The faces I'm pulling. I've gone into the wrong thing. What's caught your eye, Scott? As I Google away.
Yeah, nice try, mate. No, but this is your section. No, I think we've covered the things that we would. I haven't really seen anything this week, this fortnight that I really feel I must have. I could have a mild moan about.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Revoslot.
Yeah. What?
Right, okay, Revoslot and the Cadet and the Escort, and I'm going to lump in the 911, the first one. They don't really look the right shape. They're sort of recognisable, but they're kind of like the old days of resin limited editions when a bloke had to kind of carve a bit of wood to make the mould. So it kind of looked like the car, but it was never quite right. So that new Cadet and the Escort, that's what they look like to me. They kind of look. Then you take things like the Supra or the GT1 or I don't know. Those look to me very finely detailed and accurate and truly reflect the shapes of the cars. And I just find this inconsistency really bemusing. That's why there's sometimes do the company get it spot on, in my view, and then other times they seem to just chuck out something that's vaguely the right shape. But that's just
vaguely the right shape. I think you're being a bit unfair. I mean, it's not like the days. I'm pretty sure I must have mentioned it in an earlier podcast when I had a team slot Skyline R32 that was just a blob of nasty resin nastiness. Such a
Exactly,
disappointment.
but that would have been done the way I said. Someone would have carved a bit of balsa until they got something that they felt was happy with, and then they would have made a negative mold of it, and they would have made some resin cars of it. So that's that's understandable and
But in
excusable.
fairness,
They were lucky probably if they had a
yeah, but in
caliper.
fairness,
These guys,
sorry, I'm talking about something that must be at least 20 years ago. So progress and all that.
yeah, but these days you can download the CAD file for a car. You have to buy it, but you can download this for the shape. I mean, people make them. Whether they're as accurate as they should be is a different matter. But it's not a question of somebody in their shed having to whittle away on a bit of wood to vaguely resemble a car that they've only
So,
seen twice.
so I was
Anyway,
off googling Tiranas. Which
okay, what did you
I'll
find out when
tell
you
you that
did
in a
that?
minute. But so my point is, I wasn't properly listening to what you were whinging about. What were you whinging about? Which particular car?
Yeah.
He's off.
I did this. That could be the I wasn't properly listening. Yes. Q, I wasn't listening at all. I was talking about the Revoslot Alpha and the new Opel, particularly. And I think the Escort is the same, although I'm not as familiar with that. That they're not quite the right shape. But anyway, I think they're not
I've
quite
got
the right shape.
the 124th BRM Alpha, and I don't know whether that's the right shape dimensions, but it's mighty purdy, and I'm happy as Larry. So, back in your box.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Oh, you
Oh
said the
no!
word.
Let me finish with. No, hang on.
Is it too
I will
soon
put
to
you
go
back
there?
in your box in
It's
a
too
second.
soon.
But because we're saving that one up, listeners, our cages have been collectively rattled. So back to Holden's Scalextrics. We did get
Yes.
a European release of an A9X, which was one of the ones with the god awful motor. That's currently on Pendle's site for 40 quid. So that's not a special import. That was made for European tastes. And I've got.
Which one is that? The one that says McEwen's or something?
I've got a. I've got a Falcon. God knows what it is. I've got a Falcon that was also just standard European prices. So they do put out European liveries on Australian cars in Europe. European liveries. They put out Aussie cars in Europe at Europe prices, is what I'm trying to say. So I am hopeful that what was it? The other one, the
Tirana
XU1
XU1
comes out in a livery that I can like.
The
Vauxhall Viva, yes.
The Viva. The Vauxhall Viva. Well, yeah, I think we both said the same thing. We sort of looked at it and we went, "Oh, that's very expensive," but then we were going, "Oh, well, I quite like that." And while the internal debate was going on, other people went and bought them all. How dare you? Okay, before we move on to the box issue, I think you should explain because listeners will know that you are keen on building white kits and doing your own liveries and all that good stuff, if not necessarily terribly productive at it.
That's unfair.
It would
true,
seem
but unfair. Yeah.
I think it's true.
Take that one.
I think it's true. And now I gather you're taking advantage of the closeness of the EU and you're outsourcing some of the decal application.
It's purely a business decision
to overseas. Is this correct? Is this what you're doing? And have you paid in euros?
I have paid in euros. So far, I've only paid for the white kit. But a dude on Instagram called, I could get this wrong, Maestro Mark, which I assume means Maestro Mark? I don't know. A fellow of the Spanish persuasion who does, I've stumbled over him. The algorithm threw him at me a way ago. And I just was amazed at some of the liveries that he's whacked on white kits and others. And basically he reeled me in. He hooked me with some kind of livery on a Huracan, I think, back in when they were early days, and they did some kind of competition for white kits decorated. He hooked me, And then he slowly reeled me in with a drip feed on my Instagram feed of his really rather nicely done, seemingly, when you're looking at a small screen on your phone, white kits that he does bespoke libraries on. So I finally contacted him thinking, oh God, these are going to be hideously expensive. I'll just find out how hideously expensive, and then that's it. I can unfollow, and I'll just, it'll gnaw away at me, but I just can't afford it. And he came back, and he's quite charming. We used Google Translate, the pair of us, to talk, which may be causing merriment at either end. And it wasn't too expensive.
I gather that's what the Foreign Office do too.
It wasn't too expensive. And I got myself a Lexus RCF with a bespoke livery, which I noticed he did a post. So he is really busy. I don't know if it's his main job. I assume he might be retired, and this is just his sort of semi-paying hobby, because he's completely redone. He's got a studio. He's got a special space. He's got air filtration. He's got the works, and he's set up to do this in a production line style. And the other day, where are we today? Wednesday? Maybe over the weekend, he posted a vid of all the cars that he had decaled up that were waiting for a clear coat. And there, I think I spotted my Lexus, which was exciting.
So this is like real cars, isn't it? Where you're getting videos and updates.
Is that what they do? Yeah,
line. Yeah. So saying your car is So what livery? As I use the correct pronunciation, what livery are you having applied
to this Lexus? Because I've forgotten the brand. It runs in IMSA, and it's something Sullivan Racing. Well, is all I could tell you. I could go and Google it, but I think I've used up all the money in the meter for Google at the moment.
That's Vassar Sullivan Racing. So the Dayglow green highlights one. So.
Which is quite a priority car, and I'll be able to see it in the dimmer, darker corners of the Memorial Hall in which we race. So, true story. Yesterday we were racing, or we were setting up to race, and several people commented just how dim. We've had an issue with the Memorial Hall. I'm pretty confident none of the people who run it listen to this nonsense. So I can say they're idiots, and they've put in some lighting, and it's just crap. It's just so dim. And we were putting the track together, and all going, oh yeah, it's a bit medieval in here. It's a bit dim and a bit dark, isn't it? And then Wayne appears. Hello, Wayne. Hi, Wayne. And he goes straight to the control dial and just turns up the dimmer switch, and suddenly it's illuminated. It's like, oh, we didn't realise. We had the dimmer switch set low. True story. Sorry. Pull it back from that one, Scott, because that went nowhere.
Well, no, I could only see a parallel with, if you want to go fast, turn up the lights. Anyway, good.
Very good.
Well, I must confess, I held off buying my sideways Lamborghini in the ultimately vain hope that the production Lexus would be available, because that would have been my first choice. But,
No. Stop.
There's always another birthday. As in liveried by the company as opposed to a white kit.
Have you seen Jumping Around? I can't remember. Did you nearly swear? You nearly swore, didn't you? I'm going to rewind the tape. That sounded like you nearly swore. And that will be, you'll have to pay the fine before I do. We're 15 episodes up, and neither of us have sworn yet. But anyhow, in Super GT, there's an amazing Lexus now. I can't remember the designation of it at all. But it looks proper steroidal and fantastic. Are you familiar with the car?
I presume it's the LC, which they used to, before they ran Supras, they ran LC 500, and before that the RCF, and I think it's the team that used to race the Prius.
Is it?
In the lower division? They are now racing an LC. I say that these things have all got common chassis and engine underneath them, so it's just the body that changes. So, well, I thought it was a bit odd, really. But I mean, there's a team, and the name escapes me. They used to run the MR2, then they ran the Prius, etc. So they win the class occasionally, but they're one of those teams which are just a bit interesting because they run quirky cars rather than the same as everybody else. So I'm assuming from
it's
your
the
description
GT300
that's
class
the one.
LC500H, and I think it looks the business. I do think yeah. Why can't we have Super
Well, it probably did,
130 seconds, please? Somebody.
Well, I think we did, and nobody bought them. Isn't that the answer? And aren't they all? You bought them, okay? There was it got perilously close to Super GT and the DTM agreeing.
Well, I think they agreed the rules, and then the DTM went.
And then
pop,
I don't know what went wrong.
Because they had one race where they were together.
Well, it's still running, but they're running with GT3.
I thought they got.
Well, they had two. They had one in Europe and one in Japan. They did a kind of,
I have to interrupt you here with what may prove to be an incorrect assertion, but DTM's died. It's gone. It is no more. It is an X series.
Well, it still runs, but it's GT3. Stopped. But doesn't it still?
Oh man, Google's another thing.
No, it still kind of runs with GT3.
No, they went pop. Good burger sold up. Oh, hang on, tickets on sale. What do I know? I thought they went pop. I swear they went pop.
Rumours of DTM's demise exaggerated by man in Oxfordshire.
Oh well,
there's a chance to redeem yourself.
Was that some kind of weird dream I had?
Boxes.
Why did I think? Oh yeah, you start on boxes.
Do not go there. Do not go there. Do not go there. So, we've noticed.
It's been annoying me for a while, certainly.
Yeah. So the habit or the trend or the thing of unboxing videos. Now, this isn't something that's restricted to slot cars. I know people seem to do it on all sorts of things. But we find ourselves going, why? Now, clearly the answer to why is that people watch them, to which only begs the other question, why? Why? So if there's something, a nice new shiny slot car, I kind of want to see the nice new shiny slot car. I don't particularly want to see all 6 faces of the box. I don't really want it all read out to me. I mean, you can show me a picture of it and spin it round, and that'll take 5 seconds, and that'll be enough. Open the box, talk about the car, show me the thing. But we get unboxing videos after unboxing videos. And it's kind of something we're annoyed about. And we're sort of old, grumpy men, so we're allowed to be annoyed about things that young people do. Anyway, would that be a fair summation of the
all I'm going to say is it's not young people doing this nonsense, is it? I mean, it's not. I mean,
they may be younger than us.
Okay, fair point, well made. But that Australian, he's not super younger than us, and I just go round the bend when he turns around the box and says, "Look, you've got a logo here." Oh yeah, so you have. And look, I turn it round and you've got a logo here, and it's the same damn box that cars have been coming in every year for the last 15 years. So we're familiar with the box. Show us the car, please. But it got better today. As we were prepping,
do you know
I told you that our friend Dave Slaughter has put a video out because of the success of his last unboxing video. He's put a video out today unboxing another thing, and he tells us all about the box. The outside packaging is getting a little bit of a reference because it was a Twix box. Twix is a snack for the American listener. Is it Twix in America?
So, all right. So this,
or do they give it a different name, or do they even sell it there? Whatever. It's like a Twinkie. And his car and some tires have come in a box, and he starts telling us about. I'm amazed he hasn't told us about the quality of the Twix logo on the side of the outer packaging before he got to the inner packaging. Anyhow, I'm going to take some medication now and calm down.
Well, we're going to start with a pledge that if we ever make a video, we're not going to have unboxings. Okay, we might show you the box, but we'll take the thing out of the box as quickly as possible, and that's it. And that's only a danger.
And if we ever do video, we did discuss this because I sent you a link to a video that I absolutely loved, the Late Break Show, barn finding. I think that's pushing the definition of a barn find. Barn finding a 500 SEC, which was a fantastic video. I love Johnny Smith. I love the way that he is so enthusiastic about all sorts of cars. And this particular one, I'm a Merc fan myself. This particular one, if you watch it, he ends up slowly being gassed as they get it. Oh, spoiler alert! They get it going. But also, the guy who owns it is off camera all the time. And I think if we ever do a video, Scott, because I've got a face for radio, I will be off camera all the time, and you just have to deal with it. Could we both be off camera? We could both be off camera all the time, and just have hands appearing in front of the camera, turning boxes around.
No, maybe we don't. That would probably be a huge hit. It would get lots of money. So no, don't even joke about it. Which, of course, I assume is why all the guys, and we're kind of having fun here. We appreciate all the people who make all the slot car content because years ago there was none, and now there's lots of stuff on YouTube, etc. So it's great. But yeah, I presume the guys do it because it gets views. The other reason, perhaps wise that they do it, is it makes the video a bit longer, so you get more ad money from YouTube. So, but good on them. We're not
jealous, and we are amused by the.
So we're going to start the camera.
I like watching them occasionally, but I do fast forward a lot of them because life is too short.
I guess that's the thing. You can always fast forward. Anyway, we're having the campaign. We're launching it today to ban box openings, or Ban B.O, as we're going to call it. And T-shirts and mugs will be available.
There was another thing you said that I'm going to have to rewind the tape. There was another thing you said that I thought excellent for a T-shirt, and it wasn't if you want to go faster, turn up the voltage. There was another one. I'm so tempted. It's quite cheap, isn't it, to get these things put on T-shirts? Oh my God, Scott, we should do that. If it is, we should look into that. And if it is, we get T-shirts and we swan around Gaydon wearing if you want to go faster, turn up the voltage T-shirts.
T-shirt, maybe a hoodie. I mean, it's only going to be the end of
Is
May.
that so that we can hide in the hoodie? Yeah.
Well, you'd want to hide. Maybe we could be like the Daft Punk of slot cars.
What do you mean? Hang on, what do you mean by that?
Well, you're the one who doesn't want to be seen on.
Oh, is that I know who they are. I don't. Are they like Lady Gaga and that they hide all the time behind helmets?
Well, I don't believe Lady Gaga wears a helmet all the time.
Well, not a helmet, but she used to have her hair in front of her face completely.
Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Was that Lady Gaga?
Oh, hang on. No. That was Sia, wasn't it?
That looked like a...
God, it's hopeless, isn't it? He's off again, and I don't know where I am or what I'm talking about again. There should be medication for this. Take some Blue Wonder pills.
So, that's back to that Mercedes Transporter.
Yes,
is that what you're talking about?
Not pills at all.
Anyway, not pills at all. This is the sort of thing we would sort out in the edit, except he does the edit, so there's no chance. I think we should probably wind it up because you're clearly needing to lie down or medicate or something. Is there anything that you feel that you want to tell the listeners before we go?
I've no confessions. It's been a great therapy session, and I appreciate that. I want to say, because I'm still annoyed, and I'm now actually trolling Slot It on Instagram. And every time, I think it's happened once, they put up a picture of a new car, I'm going to put a comment saying, yeah, but it's not the Maserati GT3 from Paul Ricard, is it? Because I've been waiting for that car for a long time, and I know what's going to happen. It's going to arrive. I've had it on pre-order with Sean for God knows how long. It's going to arrive, and I'm just going to go, oh, it's not that good, is it? I was so excited about that car when it came out, and I've barely seen one in another livery. So that's the only other thing that I will confess to.
Okay, that's good. So you're confessing to being a troll on the internet.
Can that get me sued?
Probably not a good. It might get you trolled. But anyway, never mind. Right, enough of this utter nonsense. Well, we do say that it's utter slot. You know, we can't. The one thing you can't accuse us
Trade
of
Subscription
is
Act will
misleading
not
the
apply.
public. That's for sure. Will not apply. As someone once said, if you have been, thanks for listening. If you've got this far, as Peter said, there's some sort of campaign medal or possibly a T-shirt with Ban B.O written on it.
That's not the one I was thinking of, but I'm going to rewind the tape, obviously, because I'm going to edit it, and find out the other one. And we've got to start writing these down. I'm going to do it.
Good. Okay, excellent. And there's a range. There's a merch range coming
choices
soon. Possibly sooner than a slotted Maserati. All right, folks. Thank you for listening. I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye, Scott. Same time next week, maybe.
Maybe.
And fade out.
We start with a correction again. Actually, it's a correction of a correction. Do you want me to do this again?
No, keep.
Try not to laugh.
No, keep going.
No.